Hello and welcome again. This video was put together to help you get oriented to the platform and the way that I'm using Canvas, which is not always so easy to get adapted to. So let's go ahead and go through it. I'm just going to run down this left-hand bar here and help you figure out kind of what's important and how you need to use the website. Let's start off by just saying, look, I think the way to really stay focused on the class is to start with the calendar. Use the calendar as a way to help you know when things are due and what to do. So I'm trying to click on that link there, and I don't know if it's not working. There we go. And so in the calendar, you'll see a variety of different assignments. I think if they have a line through them, means you've done it, and if it doesn't have that, it means this is something for you to do. So you know that the calendar, most things are put on the day that they're due. However, there's more flexibility here than appears. Essentially, I don't really, account for all the assignments until either the day of the essay, that is the day of the official time of a timed essay, or the day of peer response for an untimed essay. Now, if you kind of can't understand that, meaning you don't get what I'm saying, you can always just, submit things on the day that they're due, and that's pretty simple. Either way, I recommend as a first go around to use the calendar as a way of kind of understanding and getting to know the course, okay, and how and when things are due. Okay, let's go back to the other page. This is your home page here, okay? So it's kind of where you start out, and it just kind of shows you what to do. And one of the first things you'll be doing in the class is going and introducing yourself in the discussions, all right? But even before that, I'm going to head on down here. The syllabus is kind of a very important page, and you should be reading this carefully and looking into the details of the class, just so you make sure you understand what the materials are and kind of what's expected from you. Okay, and the modules is another important way to work through the content. Right now you are in the video introduction area, but you can kind of work through these different modules one by one. I think the first week or two asks that you actually look at every web page. But do know that there's always at the beginning of each module, there's a mapping the unit area. And so that's an important module because it actually shows you the steps to success. And so if you look at these steps to success here with the links, you basically will be able to understand how to get through and finish each module. All right, so if I go back here and I look at the second module, for example, I want to kind of emphasize these mapping the unit area, and then you can see again the basic steps to success, which means these are the things that you need to do basically. These are action items. That's why I put action item in front of things that you need to kind of accomplish. And this is a kind of a typical unit here. Look, you read the modules, get a sense of kind of what we're trying to accomplish, and then you read the readings, and oftentimes do reading journals posted in your e-portfolio, and we'll go over that in a minute or two. And then you may be responding to a reading in a discussion, or you may be responding into a discussion without a reading. And then in this case, you're going to make sure that your system works for the proctorio, and then you'll go on and take the actual exam. And then after you're done, you're going to do a 2-paragraph reflection. The untimed essays are similar. The only thing about the untimed essays is that you'll have a peer response typically in the midst of that. Okay, so the modules are another place that you can work sequentially. So far, the calendar is where you make sure you kind of are on track and you're doing the things that need to be done by the date they're due. The modules is also giving you a sense of the bigger picture and how to get through the assignments. And now I'm going to click on discussions. Many Canvas teachers, they don't allow you to see discussions, but I actually do. I do because at the very top is a very important discussion. It's called your process portfolio. And I need to be able to have you get back to this easily because I know that it can get lost if it's not, if it's not here. And so you have to know that discussions are both a place where you're going to discuss with the class, but also a place where you're going to put in your homework in the process portfolio. Let me click on this here so you can take a look at it. So first off, I'd like to say that, look, you can't do anything wrong with the process portfolio, okay? It's essentially a place where you're going to record all your steps. You're going to record your homework assignments here, and you're going to record different drafts that you do, and you record other exercises I have you do. And so you basically can't hurt it. The first step would be to create this kind of original folder here. And so what I ask you to do is you essentially just click reply one time, and let's call this the American Artifact folder. And then just as a way to kind of keep this a little bit more organized, and again, if you don't do it this way, it's not the end of the world, not a big deal. What I ask you to do is then just reply to this original folder with your homework assignments. So, your first reading journal would be here. And I ask that you do kind of post assignments separately. And then you can reply to this reply or reply to this one here. And it just helps me and you kind of keep things organized. Everything will be listed, sequentially, so it'll go from top to bottom, and I can then just see, and we can visually see your learning process unfold, at least the things that I ask you to do. You can also add additional steps in here, things that I don't ask you to do, and oftentimes I give people credit for those extra steps too. But as we go through the class, I just add up the steps. You get, a certain amount of points for each posting, and you can kind of see here, like this one, the first one has 6 postings here, and the second one 11 postings and 6 postings, and so on. So I just give you credit for those as you go, and then that'll show up. There are more points possible, meaning if you do everything, you can get more points than the 100 points here. So I think it's about 123 points if you do everything out of 100. So it's kind of extra credit if you do all the work of the class, just so you can kind of know that going in. The assignments are just the areas where you're going to be submitting your final drafts. So if we do a peer response here, even, I still ask you put it in your e-portfolio, and you will submit drafts here too, but it's mostly where you're submitting drafts and first or final drafts, and where I will be grading them. Okay, so just think of this as where you're going to submit things to be graded by me. Grades is obviously a helpful place for you to get take a look at the class and what your score is, and so you should be seeing your scores updated quite a bit. The NetTutor, I have never used it myself, but hopefully it can be of use to you, and there are library resources here as well. So that's a quick rundown of the class. I do know that it's a complicated class, but I do believe that if you trust in the process and you kind of move forward one thing at a time, that you will kind of basically understand the design of it as you go through it. Essentially, I'm trying to, in this online class, make you more aware of your writing and reading process so that you can make changes to it that are more effective for you as a reader, writer, and critical thinker. And so that's why we use the portfolio and all the feedback mechanisms to kind of help you more clearly see and understand both the quality of your writing and the types of steps or tools that you're using to produce that kind of writing. Okay, so that's the video orientation. I hope it was helpful.